here 2 minutes.
Launch air deck is still booting up. It should have status from the launch being signal.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Mercer Lake in West Windsor, New Jersey for the day 3 of the 2016 IRA National Rowing Championship. Before we get started, we'd like you to turn your attention to the Jumbotron. Gentlemen, please remove your hats. All others stand as we honor America with the playing of the national anthem.
Columbia bowman, raise your hand if you can hear me clearly.
Okay, Willie, what do you have on the line?
A beautiful Sunday morning here, and let me see if I can get our location correct today at Mercer County Park, West Windsor, New Jersey. We have the petite final of the men's varsity 8. They are on the platform now, and just to make sure everybody is much more attentive this morning, there has been a decision to change lanes, put people in different lanes, and their bow numbers will not reflect the lane they are actually in. So, I know I didn't drink much last night, but if I sound a little bit confused at times, it's only because we have a pretty dramatic change of lanes. I'll do the best I can. I'm going to start with lane 7, is Northeastern. Lane 6, Pennsylvania. Lane 5, Navy. Lane 4, Boston University. Lane 3 is Stanford. And finishing up the field, Lane 2, Columbia. So hopefully people know their teams well. They know the blades. They know the colors of their jerseys. Lincoln says you're up. Yeah. But as I said, if you see a lane number on the bow, it's not going to correspond to the actual lane they're in. We're probably within 1 minute of start. They're polling the crews now. Of course, you probably see that better than I with the start platform camera. And as you see, we now have the start of our Sunday morning racing. Stanford here in the near lane to the right, looking like they've had a very good start. In lane 3, Columbia right alongside. All the crews getting their blades in very nicely, very cleanly, and coming through 200. Looks like Navy out just a bit over Stanford. And we've got the reporting line. And
500 meters mark. The advantage. These are two. But the coming up to at 36 and a half, continues to increase their advantage over the field now, a third of a length, but a good move from Northeastern on the inside. The bows have been jiggered now, so we can't follow the bow numbers as printed in the program, but I'll try and give them to you visually. Northeastern making a good push to come into second now, taking over second from Navy. Stanford still now 6 seats up on the field. Navy and Northeastern even, then back to BU and Columbia running even, with Penn about 2 or 3 seats behind those two. Stanford trying to end the season here with a win. Looking strong so far, but Northeastern turning over nicely on the inside. The spectator shore is not going to let them go. Northeastern at a controlled 36 and a half. Make that 37-38. Northeastern's making a big push now. Navy's clearly in third. Then it slips back to BU and Columbia, almost neck and neck. And Pennsylvania only 2 seats back of them and trying to make a push. Can Stanford hold on to this advantage, or will the Huskies from Boston row them down? So far, Stanford looks very controlled. They're not panicked, they're not pressed, they're just doing the work in the third 500. 7:50 to go. Northeastern still trying to get into the hunt. Navy and Columbia tied for second. Boston University 5th and Pennsylvania 6th. Northeastern is beginning to creep up on Stanford. I don't know if I think the Stanford coxswain just took a hard look now and told his boys it's time to buckle up. We've got to get ready to go and shift the rating and increase the speed, the hull speed. Northeastern definitely on the move now. 38 and a half for NU. Stanford hasn't taken it up yet. They're letting them come, Northeastern come dangerously close to taking the lead now. Stanford still at 35 and a half, 36, has let Northeastern come all the way back to challenge now for first. Columbia.
We're picking it up here in the last 500. Stanford hanging on as we cut out to this picture. Northeastern coming up hard. So it's Stanford, Northeastern in the lead. Another great race for third between the Naval Academy and Columbia. Still calling it Stanford, but Northeastern coming hard. You're going to get it here in the finish line area in just a moment. Terrific racing up here for these top 3 places. Stanford and Northeastern out front. Navy and Columbia duking it out for that 3rd place slot. Down in the last 20, 25 strokes now. You can see it out in front. Stanford, Northeastern coming up hard. Columbia coming up hard. Here we go. Northeastern really on it here. Last few strokes. Northeastern, Stanford, Columbia, the Naval Academy, and BU and Penn too close to call. Northeastern, Stanford, Columbia, Navy, Boston University, perhaps. Those were too close to call, those last two, and Penn. We'll have to see. Maybe Penn, maybe BU for places 5 and 6. Great row.
So we're back here at the start for the Varsity Challenge Cup, grand final of the Varsity Men's 8. Once again, the lanes have been changed, so I will try to do again the best I can to give you some sense of where everybody's sitting right now. So we've got Yale now in lane 7. Next to them will be California in lane 6. Princeton, lane 5. Washington, lane 4. Harvard in lane 3. And then Brown will be in lane 2. Lane 1 is empty. We're polling the crews right now.
Washington, Princeton, California, Yale. Attention.
Here we go.
Go.
Race will be a little bit longer today than perhaps yesterday, just given the very uniform conditions from all the lanes. But as we come up to 200 meters, seems like everybody's matched that Yale start a little bit better today, certainly on that far side of the course. Cal's right there with them. We know they've got plenty of power. Yale is definitely not lacking on their power as well as precision. So we've got the chase boat coming back somewhere. There they are. I think we'll keep following this out to about 500 meters. Cal looks to be right there. Washington also. Princeton looks like they maybe dropped back just a touch. And Harvard trying to keep contact with Washington at this point over here in lanes 2 and 3 with Brown. From our vantage point here again, still looks like Cal doing a very nice job with their rowing, blade work, and power to stay right there on pace. And we're going to turn it over to the lead report boat.
Varsity Grand is underway with California and Yale. California has one seat up on Yale. Go for it. Going. Okay. Well, you're going to be behind. And Washington and Princeton trailing by 2/3 of a length. Washington trying to take a move now to get back ahead of Princeton. But so far, at 7:50 in, it's California with 1/3 of a length, surprising the #1 rated Yale Bulldogs. California now extending their lead very powerfully. 38 strokes a minute for Cal, has 7 seats on Yale. Princeton running in third, about a half a length behind Yale. Washington 2 seats behind Princeton, back a full length to Harvard and another length to Brown. California making a statement, trying to get a full length on the highly touted Bulldogs. Yale maybe saving their powder for the second 1,000, but it's a dangerous lead to give the Cal Bears. Princeton now making a push at the 1,000 to come level with Yale, almost level, 2 seats down. Don't jump the gun there. Washington just running in fourth now, doesn't seem to have the same hull speed as those 3 leaders. Princeton level with Yale. Washington unchanged now. Washington now on the 7-man of Princeton and Yale. Open water back to Harvard and Brown. Looking in the back of the field. 7:50 to go. It's not quite open water, but here comes Princeton. Princeton making a bid now to get up into the Cal stern. Let's see if Cal burned up too much resources in the first 1,000, if they can hold it off. They love the lead from in front, and so far, they look pretty untouchable. Princeton, 2 seats up over Yale. Cal just steady as she goes. Cal 39. Princeton 38. Yale in third. Washington a length back of them in fourth. Harvard 5, Brown 6. It's all California crowd. Here they come. The Bears are leading by a full length and will be the national champions in 16.
Nearly 3/4 of a length. Princeton had pushed up into Yale, but Yale was mounting a charge right there at the 500. So it remains to be seen who will capture that silver medal or second place finish. But Cal is on a romp here today. Almost a full length, 3/4 of a length. Washington spinning it up here to try to come after Yale and Princeton. Princeton looks to be in second, and Yale has fallen off, I believe. It's Cal, it's Princeton, and Washington's moving on Yale. You'll be seeing it here in the finish shortly. I would call it California, Princeton, and I believe Washington has passed Yale for that third place medal. Here we go. Last few. Varsity Elghts National Championship. Right here. Here comes Yale. Here comes Yale. They're moving. It's California. It's Yale. It's Princeton. Fourth place, Washington. Fifth place, Harvard. Sixth place, Brown. Wow, what a treat to see a race like that. California Bears, 2016 heavyweight varsity national champions.
We're here at the start with the grand final, women's lightweight 8, and once again we're getting close to the polling at this point. Well, I'll do the best I can in terms of the lane that's going to be nearest to you all on shore as they come down towards the finish. That would be Radcliffe in lane 7. Stanford, last year's champion in lane 6. Lane 5, Boston University. Lane 4, Wisconsin. Those 4 crews only had one race yesterday to get directly to this final yesterday. They're a little more rested. Lane 3 is MIT. And then finishing out the field, lane 2 is Princeton. Again, Stanford, that defending champion, it seems like other crews in this final are going to have to exert some pressure on Stanford early, perhaps to get them thinking. And if they want to have any chance of toppling them on this 2016 final. Once again, Radcliffe in that outside lane 7. Stanford in lane 6. They look to have that early lead right off the start. BU is right there with them. Once again, someone's going to have to put some pressure on them early. Wisconsin here has had a very nice start as well. We've got Stanford just by a little bit. And then they are hotly pursued again. Once again, Wisconsin and BU right there with them. Passing that 250 mark. Stanford seems to be extending just a little bit. Wisconsin hanging right in there. BU, Wisconsin looks like they may have pushed up a little bit. Very nice blade work again coming from that Stanford crew. BU, Wisconsin. MIT looking very sharp as well. Really good blade work there with the MIT. Very uniform, and we take it to the finish line.
For the lightweight women is underway with a Stanford Cardinal with a good 2/3 of a length lead over Boston University. Then in third place would be Radcliffe. Radcliffe on the inside spectator shore, about 7 seats back of them. Then in fourth, Wisconsin, 5 MIT hanging ferociously on to Wisconsin. And then finally Princeton on the far side in lane 1, trailing a length behind MIT. So far, it's all Stanford, and they look pretty good in the heat. And Boston University trying to go with them. I've got a nice rhythm going, but they're 7 seats back of Stanford. 36 for BU. As the crews come up to the 1,000, the halfway point, Stanford looks very a length up on Wisco, a couple of seats up on MIT. Halfway home to the gold medal, it's Stanford, almost a length on BU, trying to get a full length. The bow of the BU boat is on the coxswain of Stanford. Then it's a full length back to Radcliffe. Radcliffe has about 7 or 8 seats up on Wisco, maybe a full length at this point. MIT is trying to challenge the Badgers to get that 4th spot, and they're coming up. So a great race between Wisco and MIT. 36.5 for MIT. 7:50 to go. It looks like Boston has come up on Stanford a couple of seats, but Stanford's still very much in control. The Boston coxswain trying to get her crew overlapped. Well, they are overlapped, but trying to get some advantage on Stanford. But Stanford answered with a 10 of their own and have stretched it out again. Bow on coxswain for BU and Stanford's coxswain. Radcliffe has now amped it up. Radcliffe is coming up to overlap with Boston. The other crews now are a full length of open water back. It's all Cardinal as they run home, now trying to secure the national championship. And over to the tower.
And coming up on that last 500 meters, Stanford holding the lead. They pushed away a bit from BU. They're nearly a full length. BU in second, with Radcliffe making a little challenge on BU on the side there. So right now it's Stanford holding a good lead over BU. BU about 2/3 of a length up on Radcliffe. Some good racing going on in that 4th place slot for MIT and Wisco. Princeton trailing. Should be coming up into the sprint shortly. We'll see if anybody can muster it up and really change speeds in this last, less than a minute to go here. Stanford out in front. BU in second. Stanford holding serve all the way out from the first stroke on. Line to line so far. BU's taking a run at him now. Still Stanford. Still Stanford. A challenge here from BU. Then it strings out. Stanford and that bright red boat. They both have red boats. The battle of the red boats coming down to the last 10 or 12 strokes here. Stanford out in front. They've led from the start. BU's come up. Made it pretty interesting here, but it's more than half a length. 3/4 of a length as we get to the line here. Almost a full length. Stanford now. Comes Radcliffe charging. BU across the line. Here's Radcliffe. Wisconsin being challenged there by MIT, but they're holding. 4th place, Wisco. Then MIT. With Princeton in the last few strokes, pulling in across the line right now.
All right, the men's varsity lightweight 8 is grand final is following the women's that just completed. We are in the polling stage right now. Once again, starting in lane 7 is Columbia, 2nd place last year. Yale is in lane 6. They have not won this event since 2011. Right next to them is Princeton. Penn in lane 3. Lane 4, Cornell's in lane 3. Last year, champion lane 3, Cornell. And in lane 2, we have Harvard. So they're all off the line sharply, cleanly. Princeton really rolling a high rate. Yale looks a little bit lower, but looks like they've got a good position right there along with Columbia in those far lanes. So right now, Yale just inching their boat out in front of Columbia. Princeton maintaining that high rate. They're staying right with the field. As we pass 250 meters. So some very good rowing we're going to see from the lightweights. Not that we're not seeing it from everybody else, but these men and women, men in this case, able to row very, very precise technically with their blades and use that incredible power they have at that 155-pound average to move the boats really, really efficiently. So it looks to still be that lanes 7, 6, and 5 really packed and tight, and it looks like lanes 3, 4, 3, 2 also packed in really tight among themselves, and we're going to turn it over to the chase boat.
We pick up the lightweight grand at about 600 in, and Columbia Lions are leading Yale by 2 seats. Princeton, another 3 seats behind Yale. Then it's Pennsylvania in 4, a sparky little Penn crew. There are 2 seats up on Cornell and Harvard. Cornell and Harvard running even for that 5-6 spot. Wow, Columbia looks really impressive as they pull 3 seats out on the Bulldogs. 7:50 into the race. It's Columbia starting to move away from Yale. Are we going to have seats up on Yale. Princeton link back to Penn, Cornell, and Harvard. Early, let's see if the Bulldogs have an answer. Columbia 37 and a half, and continuing to pull away from Yale. Almost a length up on Yale. Yale 30, let me check that again. Yale 37 as well. Just unable to answer the Lions' challenge. And Columbia is just having a great row, a full length up on Yale. Princeton, 7 or 8 seats back of Yale, and Pennsylvania trying to come up on Princeton. Pennsylvania doing a nice job coming up, challenging the Tigers. Cornell, 2/3 of a length back. Columbia, boat speed. They have got pure boat speed. They are open water up on Yale. 750 meters to go. It's Columbia's race to lose. They are out front with Yale having to wind it up, I'm sure, a lot sooner than they thought. It's a length. Columbia up a length on Yale. Yale a length on Princeton. Princeton 7 or 8 seats up on Penn. Penn half a length up on Cornell. And Cornell half a length up on Harvard. Call it the day of upsets. California Golden Bears in the heavy and Columbia in the lightweights. I can't see them giving this back to Yale with 500 meters to go. Open water back to Princeton. I've never seen a lightweight field this spread out at the IRA or the national championships. Now Yale kicks it up, but it's too late. Over to the tower.
All right, last 500 meters, Columbia still holding. Yale has moved up and overlapped their bow deck with the stern deck of that Columbia boat. So we'll see what happens in these last 400 meters. But right now, it's Columbia looking very good out there in the lead. Here comes Yale. They're mustering a challenge. Princeton in third, but they're well back. They're open water behind Yale. So it's kind of a two crew competition, and it's for the championship. Here comes Yale. They're pushing it a little bit more, but Columbia looks really good right now. They're holding serve. They're probably a half a length up, and they're into the colored buoys now, so 250 to go. Here comes Yale. Princeton pushing up a little bit. Penn making things interesting, and Cornell pushing up into Penn. Close finish here. Here they come. Last few. Columbia line to line here. See if they can hold on these last 4 or 5 strokes. They got half a length, maybe a little more. And at the line, Columbia, right now, 3/4 of a length. Yale. Princeton, right now. Pennsylvania. Cornell. And Harvard.
The grand final, the men's second varsity 8, the Kennedy Challenge Cup is on the line here. We are approaching the start, and once again, the crew that will be nearest the shore, the finish line shore, Lane 7, Washington.
Late to start.
Lane 6 is Princeton. Lane 5 is Harvard. Lane 4, Boston University. Lane 3 is Wisconsin, and furthest from shore will be California in Lane 2. Four of these crews, four of these programs, Harvard, Washington, Princeton, and California, have placed their 8s in every single men's 8 final, which is a tribute to the depth of their programs, and gives them probably the best opportunity to score the most points overall within their men's program. So they have crews are, again, just touching boats lightly just to keep their points.
California, Wisconsin,
As you can probably hear or see, they are polling the crews now.
Washington, attention.
And we're off. Things are going by a lot faster than they were yesterday. I'm almost mesmerized here by the just again the quickness of these crews, just how skillfully they can get their really good work with their hands on the handle of the oar to get those blades to find the water just so neatly. If people think you don't have to have great coordination in a sport, they're kidding themselves, because just this hand-eye coordination is exceptional to get the blade to find the water. And it looks like Harvard and Cal have jumped out to that early lead. I'm sure Cal's pretty inspired after that varsity A's race, but once again, Harvard's right out there. Cal's out there. Washington and Princeton right next to each other as well. So we've got a lot of good contact. California seems to be rowing with a lot of inspiration. They are completely, again, of being over in this side lane. A lot of those other
race is underway, and at 500 meters, it's very tightly packed. University are back about 2/3 of a length or a length. 2/3 of a length. Right now, the leader, it looks like California out in lane 1, farthest from the spectators, is trying to get a purchase over Harvard, with all the seedings going out the window today, and actually the JV seedings went out the window in the heats. It's going to be hard to predict here, but right now it's very tightly packed. Cal has 3 seats up on Harvard. Harvard has 3 seats up on Princeton. Princeton has a seat or 2 over Washington. Then it's back almost a length to Wisconsin, and Boston University trails 3 seats behind the Badgers. 7:50 in, California out here closest to the reporting boat, just getting the work done. Can they make it 2 in a row for the Bears? 35.5 for Cal. And they are just motoring along, but Harvard is not going to let them go. Harvard is just a few seats back. Princeton a couple seats back of the Crimson, and Washington a seat or 2 back of the Tigers. Let's see who takes a move here at the 1,000. We're through the 1,000. Cal is first. Harvard second. Now here comes Harvard's move. Harvard's putting a big move on. Let's see if they can catch Cal. Harvard went up, and they're at 39, so they're taking a flutter. As our old coach, want to go up a little further, Bob, get a camera view here. And they're really putting the pressure on Cal. I don't know if the Cal coxswain saw it or if they planned a move, but Harvard is trying to get their nose in front. Harvard has left Princeton and Washington to fight it out for 3rd. And I think any moment now, Harvard's going to take the lead. Yep, Harvard is now your leader. Harvard has taken the lead from Cal, and they're continuing to move. California not ready to answer yet. And let's see what Cal's rating is. 37 for Cal. I think they sense they've got to do something right now with about 6:50 to go. But Harvard is rowing inspired now. The 5-man took a look over, and they are thumping the lumber. They want to get this victory, and they look sharp. Harvard looks really sharp. They've really taken the rating up, and they're prepared to row the last 700 meters at 40. Over to the tower with Harvard in the lead and Princeton challenging.
This last 500, California just trailing Harvard by, a third of a length. And looks like they could have a shift because they're understroking the Harvard crew and have been for some time. Harvard's been up 39 to 40, 600 or 700 meters out. We'll see. Princeton making a nice charge too. And there was a moment there where I thought they were going to come up and take it away from Cal for second. It's Harvard overstroking the field, but boy, they're doing it. They're holding that lead. Princeton making a move now on Cal, pushing hard. We're in the last 300 meters or so. Everybody's going to go up, but just the question is, does that Harvard crew have anywhere to go after rowing that high that early? We'll see. But they're in the lead. Harvard. Here they are, out in front. Last few. Harvard and Cal. Princeton coming hard on the inside here. Princeton may have that second place now. Harvard, last few. It is Harvard, Princeton, California, Washington, then Wisconsin, BU trailing. BU now. Lots of credit to that Harvard crew. Once they took charge, they held on. Even though they were overstroking the field, they did it. Second varsity 8 national champions, Harvard University.
Third varsity 8 here at the start. Once again from lane 7, Harvard, Princeton lane 6, Washington 5, Brown and 4, Cal and 3, BU and 2. I believe California is the only crew in this final that had to race one more race through a rep to actually get here. Needless to say, the progression to make the finals, some crews may actually row more races in order to get there. We don't know how that will impact them in terms of their fitness. What we do know today is everyone is going 100%. There was an article on Row 2K yesterday where Coach Mike Tatey was being asked how to kind of move through these earlier races. And as he said, it's hard to go out there with the attitude that you're going to row 85, 90% based on the depth of the field. So the nice thing about today, no one's going 85%. Everyone's going full bore. There's no ambiguity in terms of the race strategy. Everybody's going for it. So they're getting real close. Here we go. First few strokes by Harvard, really nice and neat as they find the water. Again, these are third varsity 8s. As I said in that last race, the blade skills have to come from the hands. And as you can see right now, Washington in the middle, doing a really beautiful job with their blades, finding the water. Ideally, crews are sitting up, getting as much of their legs underneath them, rather than just letting their body flop back and forth. So they're getting good power, and it's basically pretty much almost exposed straight across as they approach 250. I'm not even going to call an early leader. I'm not sure it really matters at this point at 250. All the crews have had really good starts. Now as they stride out a little bit, although most of these crews have been using the full compression of their legs to get off the line, the key is going to be, can they maintain that good posture with their bodies, keep finding the water accurately, and get into a rhythm that they can sustain. So I can see the main reporting boat getting ready to pick them up. So it's all in the hands now of Fred and Bob, 500 meters down. Men's 3v8.
And 500 meters in the third varsity grand, it's the Tigers in Harvard duking it out for first. Very tightly bunched here. Washington and Brown right beside them. Then it falls back slightly to Boston University and California running in sixth at the moment. Very smooth rowing and very level for all those inside boats. Princeton, Harvard, Washington. Now Princeton's trying to take a move at 750 meters into the race. They've been aggressive all season, those Tigers, and they're trying to get a lead right now over Harvard and Washington. Brown just about a half a length back, but more than two. Princeton, 2 seats up on Harvard at 37.5, but a controlled 37.5. Harvard going right with them. Washington now about 6 or 7 seats back of those two leaders, and Brown another half a length to two-thirds of a length back of Washington. Then it's over again to BU, just on the stern of Brown, and Cal trying to come up. We're halfway mark now. So far, Princeton stuck their nose in front in that the first 500 towards the end, and they're really smelling victory here. Princeton's trying to get away from Harvard. Princeton 37. Harvard 36.5. Washington's getting left behind now. Harvard and Princeton duking it out for first. Princeton's got 3 seats up on Harvard now, starting to spread out with 7:50 to go. Harvard's fallen back just a little bit behind Princeton now. Washington, can they mount a charge? Their kind of positions are unchanged in the last 700 meters. And the Tigers are famous for their sprints, and they're going to need one today because Harvard, in that last race in the JVs, went really up high with about 700 to go. Let's see if Harvard's 3V is going to exercise the same strategy. Harvard 36 has room to go. They better go now, or the Tigers are going to take this one away. Princeton with 2/3 of a length now on Harvard. Washington senses time to go. Washington should have gone before now. Now Washington's up. Washington now at 39, but they left it too late. Brown is a full length back of Washington. And over to the tower with Princeton in charge.
So we're picking this up just a little early here, and we've got Princeton out in front. In fact, they've pulled out to, 3/4 of a length or so on Harvard, who was really challenging early. Washington back behind Harvard. On the camera from the crow's nest up there, it looks like Harvard's back further than they are. But Washington is moving here. They're doing a nice job. 400 meters to go. Princeton, close between Harvard and Washington. The other 3 on the outside are battling for that 4th position. Princeton holding the lead. Washington charging here. Harvard holding on over on the inside. They've been rowing a little higher all the time. Princeton, can they hold in here? Here comes Washington. I think Washington may have passed Harvard, holding second place now. Here we go. Third of a length. Last few strokes. Harbor's coming back. Harbor's making a run here. Princeton. Harvard. Washington. And boy, it was close between Harvard and Washington. Brown. California. And Boston University.
We've got the grand final of the freshman men's eights. So what we know is these guys are definitely fresh because this is a final only. They've been here waiting Friday and Saturday for their moment, which is about to happen. So they're coming to the platform now. We got a little bit of time. Give you a little bit of a background. California is going to be in lane 7. They won the Pac-12 this year by about 1/10 of a second over their very common competitor, Washington. Washington's in lane 6. They have won this event for 4 years now in a row, so they are the defending champion from 2015. Navy's in lane 5. You got to go back to 1965 when they last won this event. And we've got Wisconsin, lane 4. 1983 was when they won the event. And then the first place finisher from this year's Dadville Regatta over there on the birthplace of U.S. rowing, the Schuylkill River, is Drexel University. They were first in this event just a few weeks ago, and they'll be in lane 3. And then finally, completing our field today is Temple University. They also competed in the Dadville, and they were 6th place. They were a bit off of Drexel's pace. So Cal and Washington, we'll see what happens there. Lord knows being next to each other is not something that really kind of phases those two crews, and it's going to egg on, hopefully, the rest of I think will egg on the rest of the field as well. So Navy and Wisconsin being a little bit close to lane 6 and 7, if they can really kind of feed off of that energy that we know is going to come out of 6 and 7 with Washington and Cal, that could be good. And having that Philadelphia rivalry there in lanes 3 and 2 can always do some positive things as well. You may have heard, perhaps, but yeah, all crews have been warned. They all arrived at the line late. So that means if anybody false starts, they'll be excluded. Or if they receive another warning for any reason, that will be it. So we'll see if they're going to really have to discipline themselves and stay stuck to that line to make sure they clearly hear the attention go, the go command, and make sure that flag is actually in motion from the starter before they leave. Otherwise, it's not going to be a fun road back to the docks. We're starting to feel our first very gentle raindrops up here, and I hope that they remain gentle and sparse. Once again, it's quite quiet down here. They're now starting their poll.
Navy, Washington, California. Attention.
Here we go.
Go.
I do not hear sirens, and everyone is definitely into their rhythm. So we definitely had a nice clean start. Good for them. That would have been not a good way to have a race turn out on a Sunday with a second warning and an exclusion. Washington appears to have that early lead. Again, very energetic. with that nice high rate. Cal just back a little bit, looks a little bit lower, lots of good power. Wisconsin right here in the middle, they've come off nicely, but Navy as well. And then again, we've got Temple and Drexel definitely feeding off each other. There's going to be some Philadelphia pride from those two crews, but it looks to be right now Washington is out as the leader. Cal seems to be hanging on right there. Kind of looks like they've matched their speed now. Wisconsin edging out, nosing out on Navy. And then, as I said, on these lanes over here, 2 and 3, Drexel. I think Temple might have the better of Drexel right now. And over to the Fred and Bob.
Okay, we've got the freshman grand in Washington and California having cleared the field at 500 meters already. Washington a half a length up on Cal. And then it's back open water to Wisco and Navy running neck and neck. And then it's back another 7 seats to Drexel and Temple running neck and neck in lanes 1 and 2. California dearly does not want Washington to walk away with this. They've had a good rivalry all season, trading pieces on the West Coast. But right now, Washington is pulling away. They've got 4 seats over Cal, and I don't think they're paying a bigger price. They're both sort of marching along at 36. 7:50 in, it's 38 for Washington. And it's a real knife fight. It's a real knife fight between these. It's just going to be tit for tat here for these two crews. They are arch rivals, and they're going at it. And now Washington's taking a 10, and it's got 3 or 4 more seats. So Washington is trying to break this open in the second 500, and it's looking like they really went up. They're at 39. So hopefully they stride out again, or they're going to spin their wheels dearly in the last 500. At the 1,000 is Washington Coxon on the Cal bow. Then it's open water back to Navy. Navy would be third, of about 2/3 of a length up on Wisco. Wisco a half a length up on Drexel. Drexel half up on Temple. Washington back down to 38. 38 and a half. So they took a big move before the 1,000. And Cal so far hasn't been able to answer it. Cal at 37 and a half. Bow on Coxon. Well, that's the margin. And I heard a yell from the Washington boat with 7:50 to go. Boy, they are way out in front. They're 2 lengths open in front of Navy. So this could be an important win for the Huskies today, having stumbled in the varsity and the JV. And turning it over to the tower as these crews are really stretched out with Washington in front.
And Washington out to nearly a full length, about to break open water, overstroking the field, but boy, they mean business out here. California in second, the Naval Academy in third, Wisconsin in fourth. Wisco being challenged a little bit by the Philadelphia duo over there. Both Drexel and Temple, they want to beat each other, and they're coming back on the Badgers. Remains to be seen whether Wisconsin, who's been understroking Navy a little bit, can pull back up into that third place and get a medal out of this. But right now, it's Washington running away with it. California comfortably in second, and then close between Navy and Wisconsin. Wisco appears to be moving a little, but I'm still calling it Navy, maybe half a length. Both those crews are understroking California and Washington. Washington has been 38-39 the majority of this race. And they mean business. They're out to open water right now. So see if Cal can spin it up here in the last 250 and get their bow over the stern deck. It does look like Cal is not a long way more than a length back, but I believe it's a full length. Here comes Wisconsin up on Navy, but Navy holding a third of a length, I'd say now. Who wants to do this right now? It's fish or cut bait. Let's go. Washington well out in front. Here we go. Last 10. Washington. Here comes Cal. They're overlapped. Half a length. Can they do it? Last few. Washington. Cal. A third of a length. Navy. Open water out on Wisco. This is a third place medal. The Naval Academy across the line right now. Half a length of open, 2/3 of a length of open back to Wisco in fourth place now. Drexel crossing the line now, and Temple now.
And at 250, Yale by just a little bit. These near lanes, Penn, Columbia, and Northeastern, pretty much locked right there together. Cornell's making a good charge here again as we stride out to those to that rate and those strokes that are going to take them all the way down the course till the final sprint. They are approaching 500 meters at this point. Again, the men's second varsity petite final approaching 500 meters. Once again, difficult at this distance, but it looks like Cornell might still be right out there leading. And as you can see from this distance, some very, very sharp blade work, certainly from Cornell and that crew next to them, Northeastern. And over to Bob and Fred as they pick up this race.
The men's 2v8's underway. Yale. And it looks like Cornell and Yale are leading the pack. Cornell in their red shirts. If you're looking through the camera on the web, the bow numbers are irrelevant this morning. And then on the inside, that's going to be, I'm not sure. In lane Cornell is a couple of seats up over Yale, and Yale and Cornell have about almost 3/4 of a length up on Brown. Then it's back to Northeastern, a length behind Brown. Columbia, half a length back of Northeastern, and Penn trailing about five or six seats back of Columbia. Now Yale is taking a push at the 1,000, and Yale is ahead of Cornell. Yale is 2 seats up on the Big Red, and they're leaving Brown behind. Cornell still rolling pretty low. Check that, 35.5. I guess that's low for a national championship, unless you're got a lot of power each stroke. Yale here is up at 38, so they're a couple beats over them, and now they've got 4 seats up on Cornell. Cornell a half a length up on Brown. Brown's starting to perk up over there. They took their rating up, so they're coming back a bit. And they're up at 38. So Yale's leading by a half a length over Cornell. Cornell half a length up over Brown. And then it's a full length back to the Huskies from Boston. They have a length on Columbia. Columbia has not about a third of a length, although Penn is charging on Columbia here on the outside in lanes 1 and 2. Right now, it's Yale's race. They're in front. They're in charge. And this would be a nice victory for Yale. With Yale leading, we'll turn it over to the tower, with Cornell being challenged by Brown.
Great race here. Petite final, men's second varsity 8s. Yale, 2 two-thirds of a length, going to three-quarters. They put on a good push as they came up into this 500-meter-to-go area and pushed away a little bit from the Cornell crew, who was understroking and holding that second. But I believe that Brown, rowing at 38, has come up alongside Cornell, so there's a good race for that silver medal. It's still Yale. They were overstroking Cornell, paying a price, but moving. Cornell's held well, and I think it's still Cornell in second. Brown would like to make that interesting. Northeastern in fourth. And those two crews on the outside, Columbia and Penn, they're having at each other too. Columbia particularly is making a move and has pulled up into and beyond Pennsylvania. So it's Yale, it's Cornell, and a good race between Brown and Northeastern. Here we go. Last few strokes, about a half a length Yale. On the inside, coming really strong. Brown, it's Yale. It's Cornell, it's Brown. It's close there, but it's clear margin. Northeastern in fourth. Columbia, fifth place. And Pennsylvania, sixth place. Men's petite finale, second varsity eights.
So we're awaiting the start of the petite final of the third varsity eights. They are on the line now, all ready to go. Lane 7, we've got Cornell. Lane 6, Wisconsin. 5 is Yale. 4 is Navy. 3 is George Washington University, and finally in lane 2 will be Dartmouth.
George Washington.
They're polling the crews now.
Navy. Yale.
Cornell and Wisconsin, once again they're in 7 and 6. They were very close to that third place spot yesterday in the semifinals, trying to make the grand final. So we know that they really were going pedal to the metal in order to try to qualify. Whereas the other 4 crews were a little bit further back off the pace in yesterday's semis. So they might have used a little bit less, knowing that they weren't going to qualify. So I think, again, keeping an eye on lane 7 and 6, Cornell and Wisconsin, since they had the speed yesterday. As we come through right now, Wisconsin has got maybe a 3-foot lead, and as you can see, these near lanes, Dartmouth, GW, and Navy, the bows were about as perfectly aligned as they could be. The only crew that's slightly back, and that is a very emphatic slightly, is Yale. So Wisconsin looks like they're still kind of pushing out here. A little bit over Cornell. Crews are coming down into their rates. Dartmouth here in lane 2 still looks to be really staying right on it, really pushing themselves. Again, we're going to get a much better vantage point from the camera from that reporting boat, which is, we'll turn it over to them right now.
And we're live with the 3V Petite here. It looks like Wisconsin is leading the pack, and Dartmouth running alongside with them. And then on the outside of Cornell, or I'm sorry, of Wisconsin, we have Cornell, I think. So Wisconsin leading by a couple 3 seats over the Big Red, and then it's very even. Yale and Dartmouth are running even, and then the next 2, George Washington and Navy, running even. But Wisconsin seems to have the momentum right now as they are starting to pull away from the Big Red, and those 2 are leading the field by almost a full length. So 7:50 in, it's Wisconsin striding out here. A bit higher, 35.5, 36. Yale trying to take a push right here to get back into Cornell. And Dartmouth doing a nice job on the outside here in lane 1. Trying to get back into it. Dartmouth trying to challenge Yale for the 3rd spot. Wisconsin now has stroke on bow of Cornell at the halfway point. Let's see what happens if anybody takes a strategic move. I think Cornell's going to take a push right here. They look like they sat up a little bit. And Cornell's up to 37, so indeed they are. But they sure let Wisconsin have almost a boat length, which may have been a mistake. Yale's trying to come up with Cornell, and Dartmouth's doing their best to follow Yale. Unchanged in the back of the pack with Drexel and Navy running stroke for stroke, side by side. Now Wisconsin has stroke on bow of Cornell, so Wisconsin taking control of this race. Can Yale get second? That's the question. Can Yale come up and get second? Now Navy's taking a big push here in the 3rd 500, and they've gotten ahead of GW, and they're challenging Dartmouth. Wisconsin still with almost a full length now on Cornell as we get ready to pass it over to Rick in the tower. It's Wisconsin lumbering down the course here, getting ready for those brats in the tent. Don't forget the brats for these boys. They'll be hungry. And Yale trying to come up now on that 3rd spot. Over to Rick.
All right. Petite final 3rd varsity 8s. Wisconsin on the lead and just pulling to open water over Cornell. Wisconsin, Cornell. Yale trying to muster up a challenge to Cornell. But Wisconsin has held this lead since early in the race, understroking the field a little bit. Long and strong for the longest time. That Wisconsin coxswain was able to look over at the bow of the Cornell boat, but I think they're free of them now as they get down in the last 250 to 300 meters. And they'll probably all spin it up here a little bit. Last race of the year, making points for that 10-act trophy year for their teams. It's Wisconsin on the lead. Cornell being challenged. But on that inside, we get a little bit of a false read on that from the Crow's Nest camera, but I believe it's still Cornell in second, with Yale coming up to challenge. Here we go, out in front. Wisco clearly on the lead. It's Wisco. All right, let's spin it up, boys. Last race. Cornell doing a nice job here on the shore, about a length back. Wisco now. Cornell now. Looks like Yale's going to get that 3rd place, but they're holding on. There it is, Yale. Navy, 4th. Dartmouth, 6th. In between was GW at 5th. George Washington in 5th place. Nice race there from Wisconsin.
Okay, we're here at the start, and I'm not sure how many people have watched the Henley Royal Regatta broadcast, but it's exceptional, and one thing that makes it a lot easier for them is they're only looking at 2 crews. So guess what? The pressure's on our announcers on this race because we're looking at 2 crews. You've got Navy in lane 7. And we have Mercyhurst in lane 6. This is the petite final of the men's varsity lightweight 8. Mercyhurst was this year's Dadvale champion. And it will be exciting. I hope for both these crews that they're well matched, because it will definitely be an awful lot of fun if they can go down the course side by side. Coach once told me that the best coach in rowing is the boat right next to you, and you can learn an awful lot when you're out at practice or racing, and your coxswain's telling you that you're right level with another boat, and you make some adjustments, and all of a sudden maybe you take a half a seat, or they take a half a seat on you, and you're learning from that experience pretty dramatically. So I've got my fingers crossed that these crews can do that. As you can see, they've started, and as no surprise for lightweight men, again, the skill level of their blades finding the water is outstanding. It's been hard to multitask with the 6-boat races. Get an early rate here. Navy looks like they have a little bit of a lead on Mercyhurst at about a 43, and Navy coming through here also about a 42, so both crews right around 42, 43 on their starting strokes. Navy's got the measure of them right now. The key's going to be when they both come out of those high strokes at 42, 43. Can they really lengthen out, come down that slide fully so they've got that full leg compression, legs right underneath them. Right now the 7-man of Mercyhurst looks really good in terms of the very nice upright posture and getting full use of his legs. He's the one guy I can really see standing out in that boat. They're all doing a great job, but the 7-man just kind of caught my eye. And we now have all yours, Fred and Bob.
Crossing 500 of the petite final of the men's lightweight 8, we have Navy rowing about 38 and just about a full length over Mercyhurst. Mercyhurst at 39, so both of these crews going at it pretty high. Navy now has established a full-length lead at about 650 meters in. Still rowing pretty high. Navy's still at 39. Mercyhurst gamely trying to hang on. They're at 38 and a half. So Navy now with a little bit of open water at 750 gone. Navy now stretching out a little bit. They've gone to 37. But their coxswain clearly wants more because he has said so. Right now it's Navy by half a length of open, 7, with Mercyhurst grimly as they can. It looks like they just might not have muscle to. Well, Navy 1,000 meters. Blade work really sharpened up. They responded to that "we want more" in fine fashion. They've now got a length of open water at the halfway point. Mercyhurst still giving it all they. 36 and a half away. So 750 to go. It's Navy by a couple of lengths now of open water over Mercyhurst. Yeah, this Navy crew really is looking determined. They are making up, they hope, for some disappointment at not making that final. As they approach 500, they're still at 37 with a healthy lead.
And we're moving into this last 500 meters, or nearly so. Navy holding a length to 2 lengths of open water, kind of striding it out here. Mercyhurst giving it a good battle over there, but Navy's clear of them by a good 2 lengths of open now. Last 40 strokes or so, I would imagine the Naval Academy will just keep it long, keep it strong, and stride it on out here. Two-boat race, petite finale, lightweight varsity eights. It's for places 7 and 8. Stretching it out here, bringing it home. We'll see if they rev it up here just because we are in the last race of the year. Strut their stuff a little for all the fans gathered down here at the finish line. Navy, maybe 3 open now. Well out in front. Stretching it out. Yeah, they're up a little now. Decided to go ahead and spin it up a bit. Here we go. Last few strokes. And they're up. They're going to sprint it home a little bit here. There you go. Mom and Dad, look at me. Here we go. Last few. And now. Here's Mercyhurst coming in. Welcome to the IRA, boys. We're glad to have you here. Mercyhurst. Crossing the line now.
Any varsity crew. This is a third level. Lane 2. Lane 2 of you. Once they switch. Very close again to qualifying for the petite final. But they're in lane 7. Oregon State has had some inspiring rows. They're in 6. FIT, our Dad Bale champion this year. I'm sure they're kind of loaded for bear here this morning to try to do something out of lane 5. And you got Dartmouth. Lane 4, Syracuse is in 3, and then GW having a pretty nice run right here coming up in lane 2. Oh yeah, Cornell over there in lane 7, looking very spirited right now. Very jumpy in the boat, positive jumpy, but they look like they're going to come through. And then Dartmouth right there as well. But as you can see, these boats are all really close together. They don't appear to be as lively. We could be a little tired after these 3 days of racing and trying to progress. Obviously, it is going to really create some wear and tear. Dartmouth looks really sharp. Again, they might be leading right there from the middle. I think Cornell over there as well, but there seems to be a really lively beat to Dartmouth's rating right now. And they're doing a nice job right there. So we'll see what happens as Fred and Bob pick the race up just shy of 500. Over to you guys. Third 500, and we've 4 crews just about even. Oregon State, FIT, Syracuse, and George Washington. It's Dartmouth and Cornell just about even at the front of this field. They now have exactly 1 length over the other 4 crews, and you couldn't fit a playing card between them. All 4 of those bows just right on the line, dead even. Cross
750, it's Dartmouth with the slightest of advantages over Cornell. Behind them, it looks like Oregon State and Florida Tech beginning to ease away from Syracuse, and Syracuse now got a lot of boats rowing pretty high here. Dartmouth 37 and a half, Cornell 38. Those two are your leaders, and they are just about dead even still. It's Oregon State in third, a length behind. They are just about a seat ahead of Florida Institute of Technology, and Syracuse is coming back up. They're about a seat behind FIT. So crossing the 1,000, Cornell has taken a move. Cornell now with about a quarter of a length on Dartmouth. It is Oregon State pushing up on Dartmouth. They're now overlapping, and Florida Tech one seat behind Oregon State, with Syracuse another seat back, then half a length to George Washington. But it's the Big Red motoring away. They were even about 30 strokes ago, and they now have nearly a length on Dartmouth. FIT has pulled into third place. We have seen these scrappy Division II guys row some nice pieces, particularly in the reps and yesterday's semifinals, and they are now into third place with their bow ball moving up onto the Dartmouth coxswain. Behind them, it's a quarter of a length to Syracuse, then a seat back to Oregon State, and a length to George Washington. The Big Red over the Big Green by just about a length, but Florida Tech definitely on the march. Florida Tech, with 600 meters to go, has drawn to within a half a length of Dartmouth. Syracuse beginning to come as well. Syracuse now on the Dartmouth stern. So with 500 to go, it's the Big Red in charge. Dartmouth furiously trying to hold off the charge of Florida Tech. Syracuse behind.
We've got Cornell out in front here. Not a full length, but out in front. Rowing very nicely. Dartmouth still holding second, but FIT, Coach Jim Granger's crew, had a great season winning the Dadvale. They'd like to come up and see how many of these major name schools they can wipe out here right now, I'm sure. So I imagine that coxswain's all over them to get moving. And Syracuse taking a nice run. Another crew that's enjoyed a wonderful comeback year through the dual and sprint season. So here we go. Cornell, Dartmouth, Syracuse FIT, throw a blanket over it. Coming down these last 30 strokes, 25 strokes, you see those buoys change color, up they go. Cornell's going to take off again here. I think they have room to go. Dartmouth's coming back up. I didn't think they could. They rode high early. And Syracuse coming strong. Syracuse, I think, has gotten by FIT, but it's close. So we got ourselves a nice race back behind Cornell. Cornell's all by themselves out here. These next places are going to be a real dogfight. Dartmouth still in second. Cornell at the line. Open water. Now. Looks like Dartmouth. Here comes FIT. Who can get to the line first? There's Dartmouth. Syracuse FIT, I think. Very close. Oregon State. And George Washington on the far side. Way to go, Cornell.
Minutes here. We've got a third level final lined up. This is race 12. We've got 26 races on the morning program, and we're getting pretty close to halfway. I'm not going to say anything about the weather, but I think I just did. This is a 7-boat race. These crews have not been on the water. I mean, they've been on the water practicing, but they would have probably come out of in the lane nearest to shore, that's lane 7. George Washington will be in 6. Syracuse will be in 5. Dartmouth will be in 4. Hobart will be in 3. Drexel in 2. This is a 7-boat race, so we've got Oregon State filling out lane 1. So once again, from that start platform camera, well, you probably won't see them. You'll see lane 2. You'll see perhaps Drexel. And then again, as we swing out to the 200-meter camera from left to right, is going to be camera a full 2,000 pounds. So it takes a little time to get things rolling. Rolling they are. Once again, looking like a very good. Even though they're actually in lane 4. So yeah, Dartmouth is definitely out first. Oregon kind of sneaking up here on this near lane, lane 1. As they now have passed 250, as you can see. Dartmouth again has that lead. GW over there as well. Dartmouth again rowing a little bit higher rate from the looks of it visually. I think Oregon State as well. Some of the other crews, Syracuse looks a little bit lower in terms of their rate, as does Navy. Hard call today with the conditions, making some adjustments, but Dartmouth looks like they're definitely out in front. And but there we've got 1,500 meters to go, and Fred and Bob are going to take it over.
We're 500 meters into the third level final of the second varsity 8, and Dartmouth has jumped out to a 3/4 length lead. Dartmouth has 3/4 of a length over George Washington and Oregon State. Then it's another couple of seats back to Syracuse. Syracuse with another seat perhaps on Navy, and then it's a half a length back to Hobart and Drexel. But it's Dartmouth still pushing hard. Dartmouth with 3/4 of a length on George Washington. George Washington has broken into second place, and Syracuse coming along with them. It's Dartmouth by 3/4 over George Washington, then a half a length back to Syracuse. Syracuse 3/4 of a length back. Early leaders have drawn to within half a length of Dartmouth. Syracuse still half a length behind George Washington, and Navy coming up level with Syracuse. So it's George Washington continuing to ease back into that Dartmouth lead. That's a little under a half a length now. 36 for George Washington. And as Dartmouth crosses the 1,000-meter mark, still in the lead, but they're understroking George Washington. They're at 34.5, 35. So it's Dartmouth by about a half a length again over George Washington. George Washington with a half a length over Syracuse. Syracuse with a deck on Navy. Navy with half a length on Oregon State. 3/4 of a length further back is Drexel, and another deck behind that is Hobart. Dartmouth saw that GW move and has responded. Dartmouth begins to pull forward again. 800 meters left, and Dartmouth has close to 3/4 of a length. George Washington. Looks like Syracuse to come up on George Washington. That's down to about a third of a length. Navy still only a couple of seats behind Syracuse. So it's Dartmouth Coxon on the bow ball now of George Washington. Syracuse definitely closing on George Washington. That's down to about 3 to 4 seats. Navy still only a seat or two behind Syracuse. Then it's a length back to Oregon State, who is now facing some pressure from Drexel. Dartmouth approaches 500, continuing to build on their lead. Syracuse and Navy still in hot pursuit of second place George Washington.
All right, here we come. Dartmouth took the early lead, and boy, they're just pulling out right now. Doing a great job. Quite a battle then behind them. But, boy, Dartmouth is really putting the pedal down now. They were understroking the field there, 34.5, 35. A little room to go, and they are spinning it up. George Washington was in second place for the longest time, but they're being challenged. Navy's involved in that. Syracuse involved in that. Syracuse and Navy very close. Dartmouth just continues to accelerate here. Looking strong. Navy's coming up near Syracuse. All right. Great finish here. Third level, second varsity Elghts. These are guys who are making 10 Ike points. This is meaningful to them. Let's hear it from the finish line here. Here we go. Dartmouth out in front. Syracuse and Navy going right at it here. George Washington, I should say. George Washington and Syracuse. It's Dartmouth. George Washington, Syracuse. The Naval Academy in fourth. Oregon State, Hobart, and
So back up here at the top of the course, crews, as you can see, are all lined up, ready to go. We've got a third level final of the third varsity Elghts. These crews as well would have raced in repechages on Friday and did not advance to a semifinal, so they've had yesterday off. They should be fresh. So starting again from that lane 7, Oregon State, Pennsylvania's in lane 6, Syracuse is 5, Drexel is 4, and Hobart is in lane 3. So we've got, from the appears of it, a 5-boat race. Pennsylvania and Oregon closest to that spot in a repechage in order to perhaps advance. But again, fortunately for them, they've had this one day of rest, whereas the other crews were in the 5th and 6th spots. So we're pretty close to polling. Once again, the conditions have been very good. Very even right through the entire morning at this point.
Syracuse. 10. Oregon State. Attention. Go.
Penn getting in a lot of strokes in that first series of 5. We'll see if they were effective strokes. Sometimes you can just take a lot of quick strokes and not really go anywhere. See if they got some good purchase. They definitely seem to be getting a lot more strokes in terms of quantity in the first 5 strokes than anybody else. But Oregon, with that very fancy painted bow, does look to have that early lead, just a little bit over Penn, so we're close. And as you can see, these other 3 near boats are almost straight across dead level. So we're through 250 at this point. And the positioning seems to be pretty similar. Oregon using a lot more of their body as they come out of the stern of the boat on the drive. That's very different than Drexel right now. That seems to be a lot more upright. But Oregon seems to, again, be really turning it over in terms of their rate relative to the rest of the field, and they fully lead. And at this point, Bob and Fred have got a much better vantage point than I, so it's now in their hands.
So Oregon Oregon State has crossed 500 meters as the leader in the third level final for the third varsity Elghts. They have a 1/2 length lead over Pennsylvania. Behind Pennsylvania, it's a half length back to Syracuse. Syracuse has a 3/4 length lead over both Drexel and Hobart. So it's Oregon State maintaining its lead, 1/2 a length. Pennsylvania right next to them. And it looks like Syracuse may be easing back up into that Penn lead. So it's 750 meters coming up. Half length, maybe over a third of a length from Penn back to Syracuse. Then 3/4 of a length back to Drexel and Hobart. Yeah, Oregon State's easing away. They're at their feet on Penn. Princeton closing on Penn. That's down to now nearly a length to Drexel, and then a quarter of a behind that. Continuing to march. They're going to cross the 1,000, nearly a length to Penn. A little bit higher than the other two crews. Penn's at 36 and Syracuse 37. Right now, all those crews are holding position here in the third 500. It's just about a length. Oregon State on Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania, a little bit of open water between Drexel and Hobart for fourth. Has changed in this third 500. It's still a length for Oregon State, still a half a length for Penn back to Syracuse, although the Quakers have just taken their rate up. They are cutting into that Oregon State lead. They're 38.5, and they are beginning to pull away from Syracuse. So it's now a closed length. Approachers. So Penn making a late run at Oregon State. Syracuse trying to hang right on to them with 500 meters to go.
Oregon State about to break open water here out in front in the third level, third varsity Elghts leading. Pennsylvania been rowing in second place the whole way down. Every now and then Syracuse has made a move to kind of push into them, but Penn's still holding second. Drexel and Hobart fighting it out for fourth and fifth. But it's Oregon State, and they've been ahead for a long time here, striding it out. Pennsylvania in that black Resolute shell pushing into them a little bit. Then Oregon State will pull back out. So they're probably feeling pretty good as they come down this last few hundred meters here. Oregon State, Penn, Syracuse. Drexel and Hobart close. Penn looks like they'd like to make a move in here. And Syracuse is trying to push into Penn. But so far it's Oregon State, then Penn, then Syracuse. And those two crews on the outside are fighting it out for fourth and fifth. So we got some good racing going on here. About to wrap it up in the last few hundred meters here. Oregon State Beavers come all the way from the Willamette River to put on a show for us here. Oregon State. Then Pennsylvania, then Syracuse. Hey, okay, last one. Here we go, boys. And now, Oregon State, about a length over Penn. Penn, about a length over Syracuse. And Syracuse now. Looks like it'll be Drexel and then Hobart. Still on the course. Drexel about a length ahead of Hobart. Drexel now, a short length. And Hobart now.
just been told that we're back on up here at the start. We have a fourth level final of the varsity 8s, and they are definitely attached to the platform and ready to go. So in lane 7 we've got Drexel. This is a bit of a smorgasbord in terms of various rowing organizations or leagues that these crews are a part of. Drexel second place at this year's Dadvale over in Philadelphia. Wisconsin's in lane 6. They were 12th, I believe, at the Eastern Sprints. Santa Clara, the winner of this year's Western Intercollegiate Rowing Association's Regatta on the West Coast. Lane 4 Temple, once again Philadelphia and Dadvale School. Hobart was second at the National Invitational Collegiate Regatta up in Worcester. And finally Oklahoma City University, I believe also a Dadvale school.
All boats during the polling, I request silence so you don't distract your other competitors.
Starters saying something, trying to pick it up, but whether they completed their poll or not. Doing the poll right now. Drexel was just 1/10 of a second out of third place yesterday to advance to the third level final. So we know they really pushed themselves, had a good row. They're again in lane 7. And again, I think Wisconsin rowing here for a little bit of Eastern sprint pride. This may be a little bit unusual for them to be surrounded by crews, and right now they definitely have had a very good start. Rowing really within themselves right there in that lane 5. But yeah, Wisconsin, Santa Clara, Temple right out there. Hobart right there with them as well. Oklahoma City University also kind of there. Drexel, again, a little bit off the pace, but they seem to figure out how to kind of pick it up. They've been picking it up a little bit later on in the race, but they've got to be careful not to let too much distance develop between those middle 4 crews right now. Once again, Santa Clara is looking really sharp coming out of that lane 5, and I can see that reporting.
Yeah, we're approaching 500 meters here of the fourth level final of the men's varsity 8. We've got a nice bunching here up in the front. Looks like Santa Clara with a nice little burst. It's just barely in front as they cross 500, maybe half a deck over Temple, Hobart, and Wisconsin. Then it's about a half a length back to Drexel and another half a length back to Oklahoma City. So Santa Clara marching to the fore. Santa Clara now with a quarter length lead over Wisconsin, Hobart, and Temple, with Wisconsin now easing into second place. Wisconsin moving up. They are now only a deck. They're coming pretty quickly up on Santa Clara. As we get to 7:50 to go, it is Santa Clara by about a quarter of a length over Wisconsin. Wisconsin with about 3 seats on Drexel. Up from half a length down to a deck down, but now Santa Clara holding firm. Santa Clara by about 3 seats over Wisconsin. Wisconsin by 3 seats over Drexel. Hobart has moved up into 4th place, about half a length behind Drexel, and a couple of seats ahead of Temple. Temple a couple of seats now ahead of Oklahoma City. At the 1,000, Wisconsin is drawing even. Wisconsin just barely behind, and now they have caught Santa Clara. Drexel still lurking, only 3 seats back. And they have now opened up almost a length on Hobart. Hobart a few seats on both Oklahoma. Wisconsin motoring through. Those 3 now. Following that. Motoring through. The Wisconsin coxswain now up on the bowman of the Santa Clara boat. Drexel just about level with Santa Clara. And the Wisco Cox is now up on the bow ball of Drexel, which has caught Santa Clara and nosed past them. So approaching 500, it's Wisconsin, 3/4 of a length over Drexel, a deck back, Santa Clara. Hobart beginning to close on Santa Clara. That's within a length. They've got 3 seats on Oklahoma City, and Temple another length back. Cruz winding it up in this last 500. It looks like Wisconsin pulling away. Drexel solidly in second.
Wisconsin has the lead. Wisconsin is just about to break it open. Santa Clara, Drexel are close. I believe Drexel's come through Santa Clara. It's very close, though. Wisconsin should be just pouring it on going home. They were the low crew there in the middle 1,000. Managed to get by a very game and hard-driving Santa Clara crew. But it's Wisconsin now in the last, 400 meters. Wisconsin, Santa Clara, and Drexel very close. Drexel made a great move right after the 1,000, pulled up alongside Santa Clara, and I believe they're holding a little bit on Santa Clara. Those 3 are your 1, 2, 3 crews, and on the far side, we've got a real duke out there between Temple and Oklahoma City. I believe Temple has a little bit the better of it. Here comes Wisco, driving it out, a little bit of open water. Drexel, I think, is in second now with Santa Clara. Here's Wisco, right at the line. Drexel coming hard. And it's Wisconsin. Now, 3/4 of a length back to Drexel. Santa Clara, nice job in third. Hobart, Oklahoma City, Temple finishing up here. And Temple now.
Got a grand final here at the start, and they are just about ready to be underway. This is the women's lightweight 4. Crews in lane 7 and 6. Wisconsin, they just started. Stanford in 6th. They advanced directly to this final yesterday after just that one morning race yesterday morning. Whereas lane 5, Radcliffe, UMass, Boston, and Tulsa in 4, 3, and 2 respectively, all 4 of those crews had to race twice. So this could have a bit of an impact on the outcome today. Racing once in a Cox 4 is preferable over having to race twice. So here they come, about 200 meters. Wisconsin and Stanford, kind of as expected in that lane 6 and 7, really locked right on each other. Right here in the middle, UMass is up a bit on everybody else in terms of Radcliffe and BU. And near crew Tulsa University, kind of staying right with it as well. A little bit different A little bit more use of the upper body from Stanford, it looks like, compared to, say, UMass. Seems to be a little bit more upright. Again, using that body a little bit too much out of the stern of the boat can tend to fatigue you a little bit more. But once again, it all depends on the training that they all have under their belt. This is definitely going to be a little bit of a longer race, perhaps, than yesterday, so fitness is going to be very important. And we'll let Fred and Bob take it over.
That's about a half to Radcliffe. Elsa is in a couple of seats further back. Stanford. UMass, like that Wisconsin through. Wisconsin edged in front. It's Wisconsin first. Then it's about a length back to Stanford. Behind Stanford is Radcliffe. It's coming under some pressure now. And UMass still beginning to put a little pressure on now. Put on a move of Radcliffe, just about a length coming up. On so, with about 800 meters to go, Wisconsin stretches its lead out just slightly. That's about 3/4 of a length now on UMass. UMass still holding off Stanford. They've still got about a deck on the Cardinal. Stanford has just now barely gotten a little open water over BU and Radcliffe, who are just about even. And then a length further back, Tulsa. The Badgers are beginning to strut their stuff here. Yeah, that's a length now. Wisconsin has gone up. They're at 37, and they're now one length in front of the University of Massachusetts. UMass, though, digging in. UMass beginning to actually move away again from Stanford. So it's Wisconsin coming up on 500 meters with one length on University of Massachusetts. University of Massachusetts, 3/4 on Stanford. Radcliffe and BU one length further back.
We've got Wisconsin out in front. This is a medal race. Got gold, silver, and bronze medals on the line here. Wisconsin pulling out. UMass holding second place. But we got a challenge coming on here. I think it's Stanford pulling up into UMass a little bit. All three of those are fighting hard for those medals. We got a ways to go here. They're inside the 500, but it's this is a heavy boat for these lightweight women, so it's going to take a little while to get them down here. In the meantime, we got room to move. If you're sitting in second or third place, things aren't over yet. But Wisconsin holding it very nicely out there in front. They were understroking a bit. They've got a ways to go if they want to run it up here. So far, it's Wisconsin, then UMass, then Stanford. 250, a little less than 250. Here we go. Wisconsin. I think they've got open water now. Sitting out there doing a nice job. I think UMass is pulling up in here, so they'd like to make it interesting. Last few here. UMass coming strong. Coming very strong. Here we go. Last little bit here. This could be decided right here. Wisconsin on the inside here. Doing a nice job. Finishing strong. Lightweight women 4 with. Whoop, there they are. Big challenge here, but it's going to be UMass, then Stanford. Radcliffe, now Boston University. And on the course, Tulsa, I believe. Last few strokes for Tulsa. Come a long way to row in this race. And now, Kevin Harris doing a great job of that program out there at Tulsa.
Lightweight 4, Coxed 4. They also, they actually haven't had to race since Friday, so we know these guys are well rested as compared to that prior race with the women that had to maybe do 2 races to get to a final. So all these crews only had to race once. They qualified, and here we go. So at far crew is Georgetown. Then in lane 6 with the bow 4 marker is Columbia, and they seem like they might be early leaders. Although Wisconsin right here real close in lane 2, also right out there. Lane 3. So they definitely have jumped out. Georgetown is lane 7, but Columbia looks to be that early leader. Definitely run real sharp. Very upright in the boat. Seems like their weight is up above the gunnels, and so they're really allowing that boat to just kind of pick up and go. The crew looks like Yale doing a nice job here again, also lane 3. And it looks like we've got the reporting boat in motion, so they are...
The grand final of the men's lightweight 4 has just crossed the 500-meter mark, and it's a nice start from Columbia. Columbia has the lead, but all of these boats are very tightly bunched. I would say from first place Columbia to last place Princeton is no more than 2/3 of a length, and in a Coxed 4, that isn't a whole lot. So it's Columbia by 1 deck over both Navy and Georgetown. Georgetown has a deck over Yale. Yale has less than a full deck over Wisconsin and Princeton. So still, at 750 meters, we're going to have 6 boats within about 2/3 of a length of one another. Columbia still leading. Georgetown challenging. Georgetown is pulled to within a seat, and now they're drawing level. So it's Georgetown and Columbia co-leaders, about 1/3 of a length ahead of Navy. Navy just about another seat back, 2 seats back to Wisconsin. Georgetown has moved in front. Georgetown now has 3 seats on Columbia. Columbia with half a length on Yale, but then it's a seat back to Princeton. Georgetown now with 2/3 of any of these boats could medal any color. Yes, still in second. They've got a deck over Navy, but Navy now has only a seat over both Yale and Princeton. Wisconsin coming up. Those 3 are now level. Yale, Princeton, and Wisconsin. And they are only a seat and a half behind Navy. Georgetown continues to lead by 3/4 of a length over Columbia. Columbia has moved out to 3/4 of a length over Navy. Navy with a seat and a half over Princeton has moved into 4th place. Princeton now with nearly a half a length on Yale, and Yale with a deck on Wisconsin. Georgetown continues to lead, but it looks like Columbia is trying to stage a comeback. It's Georgetown, maybe 2/3 of a length over Columbia, and Columbia has broken free of the rest of the pack. It's then about 5 feet of open water back to Navy. Navy only 1 seat ahead of Princeton. Yale a half a length behind that. And then 3/4 of a length back to Wisconsin. Columbia is moving into that Georgetown lead. The Hoyas now with only half a length over Columbia. Princeton has caught Navy for third. Navy just eases ahead into bronze position, but Yale still lurking dangerously close.
All right. We have Georgetown. We have Columbia. Fighting hard for that first place slot. Georgetown has held this quite a ways now. Nice looking crew there, I might add. Georgetown, Columbia. Princeton, Navy fighting hard for that third place slot. This is going to be really close. And these crews are very, very similar speed. They've been tight all the way down, but itself in the lead. Columbia had the early lead, and then Georgetown went through them, has taken command. But anybody can get that third place still from all the 4 remaining crews. It's anybody's race in the last 300 meters or so here. Who wants to spin it up? Georgetown out in front. Columbia still holding second. Third, fourth, fifth, boom, boom, boom. It's anybody right there. Here we go. Last few strokes here. Georgetown still holding Columbia right up in there too. Georgetown inshore here. Got a pretty good lead on Columbia. Columbia coming hard. Georgetown half a length back to Columbia. Georgetown now a little less than a length to Columbia. Princeton looks like they're in third money here. Navy coming hard on the inside. Princeton. Ooh, that's a close one. That's a hard one to call. Navy and Yale, and then Wisconsin last. A really close between Navy and Yale, I believe there. We'll let the officials that go. Gold medal, clearly.
So we're not sure if we're on here at the start yet. We think we might be. We are about to grand to be quite a race, which we'll get later. And they are definitely off. When you is Washington, lane 6 is Princeton. 5, California. Lane 4, the MIT. So we're approaching 200 meters. Princeton's had a very good
and they're creeping back. Princeton away a little bit. Princeton 3/4 of a length.
And in the men's varsity, bow ball touching stern, it's overlapped, and it is Washington doing a nice job coming up behind in California. Still
crews have lined up. And positionings appear to be the same. Fordham clearly out in front. I should
Northern Fordham. Really close here. Really close. Bingo! I think Villanova by a couple of feet. Not much. Well done, both crews.
For Petit's picking it up at about 50. Harvard leading this race by about 3 seats down, and then very tightly bunched with Cornell and BU stroke. A couple seats back of them. Penn and just a couple, 2 seats back of Penn is Marietta. A little bit now on Cornell, and Marietta just slipped back a couple.
So they'll have a designated talker.
I believe that's, I'm sorry, it's Stanford. I apologize. Right here in lane 4, it's Stanford. They are right now our early leader. Radler, the single, is you can kind of hold a position on another crew. When you really feel like it's time to make your concerted move, you can do so. But right now, Stanford
made a nice recovery, and Stanford has fallen back of Wisco and need to regroup here. It's very unfortunate, but it's all part of the game. It's that blade work and not having it.
Get up into BU, who's led since early before the 1,000 when Stanford had their bobble. Those are the 3 leaders, and in that order: BU, Wisconsin, and then Stanford. Stanford is in 3rd place. And here they come for all the people.
And Cornell, the big red from Ithaca, leading this men's varsity light. Cornell, big tall stroke in that Cornell boat for a.
They haven't been higher than the other right there with them, so they've got another gear if they need it, I think. Cornell, Harvard.
also had good power as well. Right now I'm feeling like Jacksonville's still doing quite well, and we're turning it over to
great program. First is coming to challenge Navy, and we'll get ready to pass it off to the tower with a great race with Washington College.
We're very, very close between Washington College and Columbia. Brown has pushed up into Navy. He may have passed him, but that's a dandy race too for that fourth slot. Jacksonville's up close. Marist is in it. Well, no one's way out yet. Washington College.
When you're well matched. We're out here rowing this race right now as these four women are doing everything they can to get better. And that's the only way you learn how to do that. So credit these crews for giving everything they've got in this final race of the day for them. And we'll turn it over to Bob and Fred to carry on.
And give these gals haven't had as much time in this boat as they have in the sweep boats. But this is what American rowing needs, is more opportunities for sculling so that we can compete on the world stage. Obviously, Princeton being the national training center for the women here, we had some great success last summer at Aiguebelette in France with our women's quadruple scull, winning the gold medal, surprising the world. And that can be attributed to the development.
Stanford Cardinal. Oklahoma City continues to lead, and Loyola Maryland trails back a few lengths of open water.
In contact with Georgetown. Pretty smooth rowing by both boats. And side finish line, they're the ones on the left. Both of them have gray or blue tops, although the Yale oarsmen are. It's still the outcome is not.
There's a little open water there. Tough in these two boat races. No one wants to be last, so they'll probably go at each other here. Bring it home shortly. 400 meters to go. You can see. Oh, they collide.
Once again, in terms of our lanes,
Please be silent.
in separate semifinals yesterday, also very close to qualifying in that third place position to have gone to the third level finals. So we know once again they really pushed themselves very hard yesterday, and see again if that has back today. We're off.
Second, and
Yale. And thanks for paying attention. Thanks for being with us. Like crazy.